Jesus' face shone like the sun. Without the sun, there would be no life on earth. We all know this. Without the sun, no one of us would be here. The sun, it's the largest object in our solar system. On its surface, it's 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's fierce. It's a comfortable 93 million miles away. And yet, to protect our eyes, we never look directly at the sun. Try staring at the sun, and in less than 2 minutes, we go blind permanently. It's powerful. Without covering ourselves up or applying sunscreen, it can burn, can scorch our skin. It's like 1 million times the size of our earth. So in other words, you could fit this earth inside the sun nearly 1 million times over. So the sun is bright. It's massively huge. It's incredibly hot. And so we respect the sun. We wear sunglasses. We cover our eyes. We put on sunscreen. We look for shade. We find air conditioning. We realize without it, there literally could not be life on earth. This is probably the reason why ancient civilizations would actually treat the sun as a god. Now imagine if this sun came crashing down to earth. We came face to face with this sun. We can't. It's unthinkable. It's incompatible. It's impossible. That would be absurd. We'd be done. Done. To realize for the Jewish people, for God's chosen people, the prospect of God coming to earth would have been utterly unthinkable, basically impossible, absurd, incompatible. Humanity, we'd be done. No one of us could stand in God's holy presence while on earth and not die. Even God's holy name in the Old Testament, it could only be spoken once a year, only by one person, the high priest, who would enter the Holy of Holies and would say the sacred name of God, but once. And further, it's been said, they would tie a rope to the ankle of that high priest who would be entering the Holy of Holies, just in case he would die from entering God's particular presence there. That is the utter reverence and respect for the almighty power of our God. Now we hear in this gospel, this man, Jesus, took Peter, James, and John and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun. And a voice said, "This is my beloved Son." Always on this second Sunday of Lent, we have this account, the transfiguration, divinity on full display. This man, Jesus, manifesting his divine nature, unveiling before Peter, James, and John that without question, this is God among us. And the response, be the response of any of us here, they fall to the ground. amazed and afraid. And it's no wonder to come face to face with the Almighty, the all-powerful God. Unthinkable. And yet in that moment, Jesus, he draws even closer, reaching out and touching them, saying, "Rise, do not be afraid." And the second Sunday of Lent, it's an opportunity with Peter, James, and John to realize, to recover, to sort of re-embrace that we believe and we confess that this man, Jesus of Nazareth, who walked this very earth, is the eternal Son of God made man. I mean, could there be any greater surprise for humanity? Any greater amazement, any greater gift, anything more unimaginable, and yes, even terrifying, that God becomes man among us? And the answer is actually yes. Our God is even more unimaginable and unthinkable and surprising than that. Not only does our God come to earth as man and walk among us, but he will come down that mountain and he will pick up the cross. He will suffer and die for us. Every Lent, we're invited to be amazed once again at the glory of the divinity of our God, and the humility of his humanity, who came to suffer and to die for you and me. And yet, even further, in every Catholic church here this morning, in Holy Mass, this God, our God, the eternal Son of God, who became flesh, will give himself here to be consumed into our very selves through the holy sacrament of the altar, Holy Communion. We receive the living God. Are we amazed? This is part of what the Eucharistic revival is about, to be utterly amazed. Do we approach with holy fear and even trembling the living God? At every Mass, for us to recover, to be revived, for our hearts to be filled with that amazement and joy of the goodness, the closeness, the awesomeness of our God.